Hello and welcome back to X-Plane 11. We're at Oxford Kidlington Airport and that's the default Cessna 172. So at the tarmac in front of us, which we're going to be flying today. I've not made any flying videos for a while. I've amongst other things, I've been working on an app, a web app, to help with holding pattern entries. So what I wanted to do today was a fairly short flight and try out the holding pattern app, just give it a test, see how it works. Also running on X-Plane 1150 Beta 3, testing out Vulkan. And also I don't normally fly the Cessna 172, so I'll probably get bits of that wrong, so it could be an interesting flight today. I'll go over first what the kind of plan is. I'll start with little nav map and then I'm going to jump to AviTab, which is another new thing for me, but I'll get to that in a minute. So let's have a look on little nav map and see where it is that we are going to be going. So here we are at Oxford and we are going to fly to Gloucester, and then we're going to do the NDB runway 27 approach procedure, which involves a hold and then flying out on a particular radial, well, particular bearing, and then landing back in on runway 27. So I've just done the kind of little flight plan here in little nav map, just because I wanted to. I'm going to try and do this VFR. I did want to do this in Scotland using Stornoway and Benbecula, but the weather there at the moment is too bad. The clouds are too low, so you can't do it VFR. Yeah, so I've picked for the routing. I've picked a couple of visual reporting points that we're going to try and aim for. This first one is I think they've drawn on top of it. It's a village called Charlbury. So when we take off from Oxford, we'll fly this heading 290 to Charlbury, and we'll try and get to Northleach roundabout, and then we'll try and head to Gloucester. Now, I'm extremely bad at finding any of these landmarks or even following roads or rivers or anything like that visually, so we'll see how that goes. But I think that's probably, let's turn off little nav map for now, because I'm hoping we don't need it again. Other than I might refer to it just for the distances and the timings. But let's get rid of that for now. So I'm gonna jump into the cockpit, and I said, in terms of other new things, and I imagine everyone probably familiar with this already, but AviTab. Okay, I assumed that it was just something that you used in certain planes like the Zibo 737, where you see people use it in the cockpit for ground services and opening and closing doors and all kinds of things. But no, it's a general purpose plugin. So you just go to xplane.org website, download the zip file, drop it in your resources plugins folder, and you have the tablet. And you can, in lots of planes, you can integrate it into the 3D cockpit, and I think someone's done a mod, a file, whatever you need to drop into your aircraft folder for the Cessna 172. I haven't bothered with that yet, so I'm just going to plugins AviTab and basically showing the tablet on screen. But I didn't realise how useful it is, so let's start just with one of the features, which is the map. So here we are at Oxford. We'll just enable airports so we can see them. And there is a village of Charlbury, which is our first target. If I can cheat here, can't I? So if I can't find the thing, at least I've got the map, although I'm not sure technically that's allowed. And then here's Northleach, and then here's Gloucester Airport. So yeah, the map's the first useful thing. Second thing is the airports and charts. So EGTK is the airport we're at the moment. So if we go back here and we go EGTK. By default, we'll get airport info, and we'll get the ATIS. So 240, 03 knots. Yeah, okay, well, I'll come to runways in a second. let's just, so another thing you can do on the home screen is if you go to Navigraph and you've got a Navigraph subscription, you can link your Navigraph account. And once you've done that, if you go back to airports, once you've found an airport, you can click on this, I don't know what this is meant to be, icon-y, menu-y thing, and essentially you get to your Navigraph charts. So we can click on the airport and have a look at airport info. So, and it even shows us on some of the charts where we are, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, given the winds, what was the wind 240? I don't know. Do people? I don't really know this airfield. Do people use the grass strip? Would we use the grass strip, or would we use the runway? I think I'm tempted to use the runway just because it's nice and long. And so I think what we'll do is we'll taxi up here, and it's 240, so I guess we want to take off on runway 119 really. So yeah, oh, it's an AI plane as well coming in. Yeah, my X-plane's all back because I've made another copy of it for 1150. I went to the installer and said install a second copy, so there's a lot of the things are back to defaults and things that I'd forgotten that I changed, etc. Anyway, so yeah, we'll taxi up here, and we'll well, I don't think we need to backtrack. The runway is long enough. We'll just take off on the main runway south. So that's runway 19. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to set my heading pointer here to 190. So we've got that ready on runway heading. Okay. The other thing we should do is explain a bit about the holding pattern tool. So. What happens if we search for another airport here? Okay, no, we'll do the Gloucester bit. Or should we do that now? Or should we do it later? Let's have a look now. Let's go EGBJ. Ah, excellent. So we can have both open. That's cool. And here we can have charts for EGBJ. And if we look at the approach charts, we want to do NDB runway 27. And in fact, we could actually cheat as we do have an initial approach bricks here because we're going to be coming from the east. We could cheat, but we're not going to cheat. In fact, we'll probably be coming slightly from the south. We're going to fly to the NDB, and then we're going to enter the hold. And it says, yeah, normally we're required to hold not lower than 4,000 feet. So we'll come in here at 4,000 feet. We'll join the hold, and we'll do a couple of maybe turns in the hold, and then we'll fly outbound on this 091 degrees, heading here. And turn back in and make a final approach. So that's what we're going to do. We'll figure out near the time where we're actually approaching from. It's somewhere from the east anyway. So yeah, so the thing that always puts me off with holds is the entry, because you can either have a direct entry, a parallel entry, or an offset entry. And I know there are things you can do with fingers. You can kind of hold up fingers and use your HSI and compass and stuff to try and work out which sector you're in. But I always forget. And the other way that kind of works quite well is you just think, well, which entry is going to give me the smallest amount of turn when I reach the initial approach fix, or the fix for the hold. And that's a good one. But I thought I quite like the idea of doing an app. And also if I do an app, I can add some extra features like a timer, because when you're in the hold you want to do 1 minute legs normally, turns inbound or outbound time for 1 minute, and airplane timers, either I can't find them or I've already got the timer going for the total flight time and I don't want to reset it, etc, etc. So it'd be handy to have a timer. So what I've done is I've written an app called Holding Buddy, and let's just have a look at it now. So it's on GitHub. Yeah, it's a web app, and also PWA, which means you can install it to your home screen or your start folder or whatever. And it works well on a touch screen, or at least I hope it works well on a touch screen. This is what it looks like. I'll actually get it. I'll bring it up in a second. But yeah, the idea is that you put in you put the hold in that you want, you know, the direction of the hold, whether it's left hand or right hand, and you can position your plane and it will show you what type of entry, and it will try and show you, you know, if it's like, for example here, a parallel entry, the course that you fly. Now that's the old one before I corrected the parallel entry, but anyway, it's not the point. So but essentially there's this GitHub page where the source code is, and there's a hosting page that's actually got the app. So if we go there, you can see this is the app, and it's got a menu, it's got a timer, you can flip. If you're on touchscreen, you can move your finger left to right to change between left hand and right hand holding direction, or you can use the toggle button. You can position the plane just by clicking, and you can do that with your finger if you're on a touchscreen, or you can type in the plane's heading if you want to. You can also, if you're on a touchscreen device, you can rotate using 2 fingers, turn to rotate, and you can move the hold around to the angle, because holds are always based on the inbound bearing. So, but here, for example, if you want a 45 degree, I have to type that in because I'm not on a touch screen. So let's not look in the browser. Let's have a look at the app once it's been installed. Now, Windows 10, if you've got Edge or Chrome and you go to the site, you can go. I think it's in, well, certainly on Edge, it's in one of the menus. You can go install app, and what you end up with is something that you can then run from the start menu. I think it should work the same on Linux as well, and I guess on Macs I don't really know. And this is then the app that you get, and the app version, whether it's installed on a desktop or on a phone or a tablet, can be used offline, so you don't need an internet connection because all the logic is contained inside the app. Doesn't need to download anything. So yeah, what we'll do today is I'm going to and another thing you can do on here, as well as sort of, you know, entering the hold that you want and the heading that you're on, there's a couple of things you can do. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you can click use compass, and the plane's heading will actually use your compass bearing. Unfortunately, I can't get it hooked up to X-Plane because I don't know how to get a web app to do like UDP sockets. I'm not sure you can. I'll have a look into that. Otherwise, I could get the data refs from X-Plane and figure out what heading the plane was on. Yeah, I haven't got that working. So what I'm going to do first, before we do anything, I'm just going to add the Gloucester hold, which you can see in the chart here. So it's a left-hand hold. So normally holds are right-hand holds. So this is non-standard. So it's a left-hand hold, and the inbound track there is 91 degrees. So I'm going to set an inbound. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add it to the favorites. So the fix is GST. So this is a way that you can add a few holds, maybe ones that you might think you're going to use on a particular flight you're about to take. If you look at the approach charts and see that there's a hold involved, you might want to put it in here for quick reference. Track is 91. Oops, 91, and the direction is left hand. I'm going to add that. Now, if I click on that, the tool will basically set itself up with that hold, 91 degrees inbound track, and then depending on where we arrive from, we're either going to arrive from here or here. We'll either be doing a teardrop or a parallel entry, so we shall see. But that's enough of that for now. Let's get rid of that. Okay, back to here, because the first thing we need to do is get going. So here's where I need to remember how to work the Cessna. So I think what we'll do first, probably a good idea, is to turn on the battery, and let's get it started up. Now for starting, I think we crack open the throttle a little bit. We operate the fuel pump for a few seconds with the mixture. You're not sure if it matters by the mixture. It's just to kind of pressurize the carburetor. Well, not actually carburetor, fuel injection, but we'll do that for a few seconds. There's nothing that you actually see here. There's no fuel flow or anything. And then we'll put the mixture full rich for start, and we'll turn the engine starter on. And thank goodness it started. Okay. Oh, now directional gyro not aligned. Yeah. You don't get this on more advanced planes, but you do on this. So what you can do here is you either turn the knob to try and align it with magnetic compass, or if you bind a key, there's a directional gyro command that you can bind a key to. I've got my D key bound to that, so I'm going to press it, and there we go. We are aligned with the compass. The engine, okay, it's not really warmed up much yet, but I'm just going to lean the mixture back slightly while we're sat on the ground. Yeah, that should probably do it. So you don't want it to over-rich while it's just sat idling, where you could sort of get sooty spark plugs, I guess. Ooh. We're running. Turn the alternator on as well to charge the battery. And two things I should have done earlier. I should have checked the prop was clear, and I should have turned the beacon on. So let's do that now. So the beacon should have been on before start, and of course, check's clear, open the window, shout prop clear. Didn't do any of that. So let's hope no one was in front of the plane. Okay. Avionics, we'll turn them on. I'm not sure we're going to be using many of them, although we will need to use the ADF because we're going to tune in the NDB at Gloucester. In fact, let's do that now while we're here. So 331, let's just get that tuned in. 331, it won't. This is the ADF indicator here. It's not going to register yet because we're not within range and we're too low on the ground, so that should come alive later. Okay, what else do we need to do? We need to set our altimeter. So we go back here to airport info, and yeah, 1020. Let's get that set. Oops. That's better. And now, is that right? We're showing about 250 feet. Yeah, 270 feet there. That's not bad. So I think we're okay on the altimeter. Now, what else do we need? I guess we should be squawking. Is it 7,000? Or is that in the US? I think it's 7,000. So let's do that. Turn it on. We won't put altitude on yet. What else do we need? We've got heading lined up. Runway 19. That's already done. I think flaps are up. The trim is in the takeoff position. And so, we should check that the controls are all working, I suppose. So let's operate some flaps. Can we even see? Because can't even see the wings, can we? So I'm not quite sure why I'm looking outside. Just make sure they make a noise. Yeah, so that's fine. And let's put the yoke back, and let's just check that we've got yokiness, which we do. Take away the yoke, check the rudder pedals, and the brakes. Excellent. And of course, we've just removed the handbrake doing that. Right. Tablet. Let's go on here so we see what we've got to do. Yes, we make a right turn and follow Bravo. So let's aim to do that. Leave mixture where it is for now. Okay. See if I can get head tracking to work. It's better turn that on. Okay. I'm going to make a right turn and check it's clear. Another crazy AI plane taking off. Is that tree really there in real life? I'm not sure. So our engine temperature is coming up nicely into the green now. Oil pressure looks pretty good. We've got enough fuel, we're not going very far. I'm not sure. Oh, is that a vacuum? It's a bit low. Is that just because the engine revs are low? Yeah, it's used to come up with engine revs, so it'll probably be okay. Oh, hope we've entered Bravo. I wasn't really looking yet. It's B2. Oh, 2, that's fine. So we'll stop at Charlie round here and we'll do our run-up checks there. Also see if we can find a windsock just to... this is not a grass runway, is it? This appears to be a paved runway. Okay, we'll continue our plan to use runway 19. Maybe, I don't know why I thought this was grass. Does it say grass in the chart? Sure. Okay, anyway, here's it's probably not a good place to do run-up checks now since we're on a runway, but yes, I hadn't really considered that. Let's do it anyway. Okay, now this is where what we do essentially is we rev the engine up and we check that both magnetos are working. Now this always used to confuse me because I wasn't quite sure why when you put one magneto on you get an RPM drop, until I found out, and I guess most people probably already know this, but the difference between airplane piston engines and cars, or most cars, is that airplane piston engines have 2 spark plugs per cylinder. Now, Alfa Romeo did have a twin spark engine in quite a lot of their cars, high performance ones, and so not all cars have just a single spark plug, not all petrol cars have a single spark plug per cylinder, but aircraft engines anyway have 2 spark plugs. And one of the spark plugs is fed by the left magneto, which generates the spark, and the other one by the right magneto. And normally the engine is designed to run with both spark plugs working. That's when you get peak power, because I guess you've got a really efficient combustion because the mixture is ignited by both spark plugs, etc. So it does make sense that when you turn one magneto off, you lose one of the spark plugs, and you're probably going to get a slight drop in power, which is why you get a slight RPM drop. So anyway, all it comes down to is, oops, brake should be on. Let's go up to 1800 RPM, and let's turn to. I'm going to turn head tracking off for a second. Let's go to the left magneto. We should see an RPM, a small RPM drop. Which we're doing. In fact, you can hear it. Back to both again, and then we're going to go to the right magneto. Again, the RPM's down near 1700. Okay, cool. I'm happy that both magnetos are working. So let's get ready for takeoff. So yes, taxi light should have been on. Taxi light wasn't on. Not much point putting it on now. Let's put the landing light on. Let's put nav light on. Let's put strobe lights on. I've bound a key to strobe lights just because I find that you put them on sort of time critical, so it's good to have a key ready. Turn them on and off. You can bind the key to that. Mixture. We go full rich. Takeoff. Full power at sea level, and yeah, we need plenty of oxygen, so plenty of mixture. We've already checked flaps. We're not going to use any. Sorry, we already checked the trim. We're not going to use any flaps. What we do need to know is where we're going to go after takeoff. And let's this on now. I think it's time to go back to the map. And yeah, we're going to take off and head for Charlbury. And according to little nav map, that's a bearing of about 290. So we are going to take off and then turn to the right for 6.6 miles. I don't know what speed we're doing, about 80. If we were doing 120, that would be 3 and a bit minutes. We're not going to be doing that, so about 4 minutes maybe it's going to take. Now I think we can use this clock thing. I don't really know how you use it. Okay, can we start it? We do. Do we stop it? We do. We reset. reset by clicking in the middle between the two buttons. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to use this. So what I'm going to do is I'll start it and then expect it to take about 4 minutes to get to Charlbury, and I'm going to try and not look at the map. I'm going to try and do it visually. Oh, and we're going to climb to 4,000 feet because that's the altitude we want to enter the hold at when we get to Gloucester. Okay, so let's go. So we're just going to confirm that we're on runway heading when we're on the runway. We'll take off and we'll make a right turn to we'll get to about 500 feet, then we'll make a climbing right turn. Not only we need to backtrack here, we've got plenty of runway. Yep. Okay. Light situation is okay. Throttle's full rich. Let's go. Let's get ready with some right rudder if we need it. Bit. I'm going to rotate at about 60. And you get to about, we're looking to climb out between 70 and 80 knots. At 500 feet I'm going to start a right turn and I'm going to reduce back to about 75% power. Turn here to about 290. A bit of right rudder in there to keep the ball centred. Airspeed's okay. We're just going to roll out there. Overshoot slightly. Just going to down the trim a little bit, and I'm going to set our heading now on 290 for reference. Oh, and of course I didn't start the clock. Excellent. Let's start the clock now, and we're looking on, let's say about 3 minutes we should be at village of Charlbury. I don't know whether we're going to see it or not, but give it a go. Let's get back on 290. Quick seek on the map. Yeah, kind of vaguely heading in that direction. Once we get up to 4,000 feet, put the autopilot on, give us a bit more time to think. Meanwhile, I'm going to turn off the landing light. Drift off course. I'm not going to lean yet because we're still climbing fairly high power setting. See a village. Is that a village? No, that's just a gap with some trees. Could be a village after that. Oh, and then what do we do when we get to Charlbury? We turn to 262 degrees according to the little map flight plan. I guess there's some kind of foresty stuff around Charlbury. So we'd expect to see trees. There's also a river. We're actually not heading. We're cheating now because we're not really heading far enough. We need to turn right, but without looking at the map, I wouldn't have known that. I guess we should be trying to follow the river. Okay, let's see. Is there a river? There's a river, but that's not really going to help us. Stick on 290 for now and see how it goes. See, there's a village there below us. What is that? Stones Field. Okay, so I suppose what you would do is you would expect to see that, because we're seeing that on our right, probably means we need to just kind of right slightly, maybe more like 295, 300. How are we doing for altitude? Coming up to 3,000. Okay, that's fine. Should know. Oh, we did see one village. So we can find the next one. Yeah, I found that with Vulkan, I mean, I've got a GTX 1070 Ti, and I get quite a dramatic improvement with Vulkan. Frame rates are up, and also I've been able to put a lot of the settings up. So I'm able to turn on reflections and shadows on scenery, and bump my anti-aliasing up to 4 times rather than 2 times. So yeah, for me, it's a big win, big improvement. Now then, a small village there, but times the time on the clock. See, 4 minutes. We should really be there. Is that it on our left? No. It's more on our right, isn't it? We may cheat here, and consider this as a training exercise, and just look at where we are on the map. Ooh, okay. We're just to the south of it, so that probably is Chalby on our right then. Maybe? Okay. I think I'm going to now go for a left turn to 262 degrees. I'm nearly at 4,000 feet as well. So let's start a turn, and we'll turn the heading back to 262. Slight turn. We're nearly at 4,000. So what I'm going to do now is level off. Trim forward. Let's try and level off. Throttle back to the RPMs roughly in the middle of the green. No, and again I didn't set the time, because this leg is 13 miles, which I'm going to say is going to take us about, I'd expect, 7-8 minutes. And how on earth are we going to find North Leach roundabout? The chances are probably pretty slim, unless I can figure out what road we're meant to be flying. So it's the A40, isn't it? Find that, I'm not sure. Unless that's it on the left. Oh, could that be it? Could potentially be. A bit high as well. I'm just going to sort the trim out. Right, actually I said I was going to use the autopilot, didn't I? So I'm going to do that now. Engage. Heading out. Okay, good. Give me some time to think. Right. Ah, I cheat again and look at the map as well. We're kind of heading towards North Leach. So we should be crossing a road now. One road, then another road, then a river, then we should see the A40. So 2 roads and a river we should see. Once we see the A40, then we can turn towards North Leach. Right. Okay. Did you say we're about to cross a road? We have crossed the road, okay. I'm not sure, see, I can never see roads in this. I guess what you do is look at things like there's a village on our left. That would be expected. Right? See, there's not even any village up there. I don't know. To zoom in far enough to see villages. maybe this because they're further away. It's coming up pretty quickly as well. Okay, enough of that. Let's hope we get the Gloucester NDVs coming soon. Oh yeah, mixture. We can lean now slightly. Probably not a lot because we're not flying very high. So we'll just do it by ear and lean it to see if we get an increase in speed or power, if it sounds better. Increase in RPM there? No, we got an increase in RPM, we're going back in. Right there, so not a lot. Okay, go for that. Now then, can we see anything that helps us? Nice road in the village there. Actually, we should be able to see the A40 on our left. Far away. I guess the thing I'm not used to working out is if you're at 4,000 feet and you know the road is sort of, I don't know, a couple of miles away. I guess that's fairly near. There's more than one road down there. Is that one the second one in the A40? Maybe we're actually coming to North Beach roundabout. To be sitting slightly higher up, I think. So that could be the A40 there on our left. So therefore, we need to be following that. So we probably want a slight right turn. My guess is that North Beach roundabout is going to be somewhere like there, because then the road does head more north out of it. So yeah, I think we're pretty much there. And I'm going to start to turn right. Let's just have a look on the map. And no, we're not there. We're a long way. Okay, here's that theory. So we should still have the road on our left then. In which case, where is it? Top of the road, so I'm going to have to turn slightly right to track towards the roundabout. Ah, okay. If we say that's the road, we can follow it. I think that is the road. The question is there a roundabout there? You can actually see, I mean, that dip there is where we want to be headed to get down to Gloucester Airport. So I think I'm going to call this as pretty close to the roundabout. And then yeah, we're essentially tracking the road 287 degrees according to little nav map. So yeah, we're not far off that now actually. We'll just stay on this heading. Now then, we need to get ready to... So, and we've also got the Gloucester NDB has come alive down here. Now, okay, this is where we need to start thinking about how we're going to enter the hold. So, if we bring back holding buddy, we are currently on a heading of... this now, so we do want to head slightly right to get the NDB back on course. So that gives us a heading of about what, 280, 290? Let's put that, let's put 290 in here as our heading. And that gives us a teardrop approach. So in a teardrop you fly to the fix, which is the NDB, and you then kind of enter, because you can't make a sharp right turn, that would be too sharp a turn, and you can't make a sharp left turn from parallel, so you fly kind of, we're almost in a straight line here. We're going to fly heading 301 degrees for 1 minute. I'm going to use the timer in here because I've already lost track of the timer in the plane. switch the chart now. Back to airports. And let's go here. Yeah, fine. So this is not way too much, isn't it? Yeah, so when we're overhead the fix here, you'll see the NDB needle will start to swing to the right or to the left. When it's at 90 degrees, that's effectively the point that we start our turn, because we're then overhead the beacon, and we're going to turn to 301 degrees, fly for 1 minute. We're going to use the autopilot to do the turn. I suppose we should tune in the, while we're doing this, we should tune in the ILS, the DME, because we will need it for distance when we come to do this part. So let's go over here and tune it to 0995. This thing here seems to have come alive, so that's good. I'm not sure where we get the distance readout. I guess it's on here, and we don't have it yet because we're not within range. That'd be my guess, because there's no distance readout over here, so we'll see. Of course, with NDBs, you don't know how far you are from the NDB, so you kind of have to do it visually, I suppose. Where's the airport? There's the airport. Yeah, there it is. There's the airport. So we are still heading in the right direction. Slightly fly to the right to correct if you want to approach the. Keep on a direct course to the NDB. Any slight error in your track will become more magnified as you get really close to an NDB, so you don't want to chase it all the way. Okay, running else. GT is very low. Last one? Not sure. Speed's okay. There's usually like a maximum speed for holds, but that's normally like 180 or 200 or something. So. Is that the dry ski slope? Let's see. I've seen that before. From the Robinson Hill. Lost it. Oh no, there it is. Could well be the dry ski slope. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, right. We are getting near the airport now. It's right in front of us. The glide slope thing is coming. We don't have any distance measurement though, so we should see about that. We're now essentially watching this needle. As soon as it swings 90 degrees, we're going to change our heading to 301 degrees to do the teardrop entry to the hold. Keep your eye down here. And we start the timer, so let's get the timer up on here as well. Ready. Chapman on the right. Ready for that needle to swing. We're slightly above 4,000 feet, but that should be fine. We should probably check the QH again. 020, that's fine. That's what we're already set. Still no distance measurement. Quite sure what I'm doing wrong here. So we should see. Expecting that needle to swing any second now. Starting to go. I think it's starting to go. Because we should have listened to the ident, the Morse, to make sure we were on the right MDB. Okay, needle is going. So when it's halfway and we're a beam, I'm going to turn the heading to 301 degrees, which is a slight right turn. And I'm going to start the timer on holding buddy, and we're going to give ourselves 1 minute. Now after 1 minute, we're going to make a turn. Essentially, it's going to be a 180 degree turn to go back in on the 91 degrees inbound bearing. So let's get our heading thing over here set on 91. Quick look on the map as to where we are. There we go. As you can see, we've passed the fix and we're on a teardrop entry. Good, the teardrop entry keeps you on the protected or inbound side of the hold, where you know there's no high terrain, which could be on in the area around the outside of the hold. You're safe if you're inside the hold. Coming up for 1 minute, so I'm going to turn left. Okay, let's make a left. Do is we want to turn until we're essentially on a 91 degree heading straight towards the beacon, because that's the inbound course for the heading, for the holding pattern. So I'm gonna turn. I've set the heading back to 91, and we'll see where that takes us in terms of being lined up with the ADF needle. I guess you're meant to do that periodically. Now, I think we need to turn a little bit more here, because our NDB needle is pointing slightly left. You need to push the head of the thing to line it up. Now what we're meant to do is time 1 minute back inbound, but I won't do that this time. We're not on a 91 degree course either, so we kind of have to let it push it over a bit more. Let's have a look where we are on the map. We should be approximately flying the inbound track. Here we are. When we reach the fix this time, again when this swings quarter turn, we'll make a 180 and then we'll start the timer again. And we're hopefully then we're actually in the holding pattern properly. So we're currently flying in here, somewhere around here. We're going to turn to 271. Let's watch for this needle swinging. There we go. We'll just do one more go and hold. Okay, turning now, left turn to 271. Now you have to correct for wind. If it's windy, I think the wind's pretty much westerly at the moment, light and variable. Okay, so there's not a lot of wind to correct for. There are formula for correcting for the wind, but I kind of just go, well, if it's this direction, it's this strength, then it's a few degrees, and then of course you can correct because you can see how far off you are when you come back into the inbound leg to the fix, and you can. So if you're in the hold for a few goes, you can start to work out your wind correction. Oh, we've got to start the timer again when we have a beam the fix. So let's watch this needle. See the point where we're at beam. And we'll start the timer for 1 minute, and the weather's changed. I would say we are pretty much a beam now, so we're going to start the timer. Just look on the map. Yep, so we're now heading 271 degrees for 1 minute. And this time when we turn back in and reach the fix, we're going to head out, which is actually going to continue on 91 degrees until we get 8 miles out. And if we don't have any distance reading, then we'll just have to do the 8 miles based on speed and time. I mean, to be honest with you, a day like this we would just land visually, we'd just join the circuit, but I wanted to kind of do the procedure, so 50 seconds, let's not get our timing. Because how far you go in the 1 minute depends on your speed, but it doesn't really matter. If you go slowly, you just don't travel so far. You're still within the protected part of the hold. Right, we've gone over a minute now, so I'm going to turn back to 91 degrees. Hopefully this time we should be fairly lined up with the ADF needle when we've completed our turn. There's the River Severn there in the distance, so heading towards Bristol. I wonder if we've had a QNH change since we had some weather come in. No, still 1020, okay. Just got some clouds. I think we can now get rid of holding buddy. So probably won't need it anymore. This time I'm going to try and remember to use the planes timer. Good here for being on track when we come out. There's the airfield, so we're actually quite near the beacon already. Yeah, not far to fly. Pretty good. So yeah, so this time when the needle swings, slightly more actually, when the needle swings, we're going to carry on our current course for 8 miles, and I'm not getting any distance here, so I'm going to say that 8 miles, how fast are we going? So if we're going 120, then 8 miles would be 4 minutes. We're going about 10% slower than that, so let's say about 4.5 minutes. Okay. There goes the yellow needle. And let's reset the clock here. And we're going to fly for 4.5 minutes on this outbound course. Oh, and altitude's the other important thing. So now we want to be coming down to 2,300 feet. We need to do that fairly sharpish. So let's take out away here. Can we take out away? Okay. Let's turn off. Back on heading mode. And let's just drop the power and start to descend. Oh, we could have done it on VS, I suppose. So 4.5 minutes, and we need to be down at 2,300 feet. 2,000 foot going empty, so fine. We don't even need that, do we? We've got at least 3 minutes left, and we only need to lose another 2,000 feet. I don't know why we're not getting, it's probably something obvious that I'm not doing, that we're not getting distance readout. The other thing I'm going to do is, in case I forget, is stick my landing lights back on at this point. Might put the mixer rich. I mean, if we're going to have a very long final approach, so we don't need to really do anything yet in terms of flaps or mixer or anything yet. Now, I hate these altimeters. Is that us coming up to 2,000 or is it us coming up to 3,000? It's 2,000, isn't it? So we need to get ready to level off soon. 2,300. Back to now-ish is probably a good time. Is that 2,300 or 3,300? I think it's 2,300. So let's trim. Not sure what that beep was for. I think it was obviously autopilot disconnect. Yeah, in fact, let's go heading out and let it do some work for us. Okay, now 4 minutes 30. This is a ridiculous length to fly for a Cessna. You really don't need all that distance, I guess. You know, compared to if you're doing a circuit, you need to turn it back in here, but you don't see. I try and use this localizer glide slope thing. Oh, why don't we turn that to the right course? That'd be a good start. 261 degrees. Let's use the keyboard binding. If you watched my video on the autopilot on the King Air C90, you'll know that I've got several keyboard keys bound to do things like move the heading and move the course for the nav 1 and nav 2, and it helps a lot, especially when your autopilot's down the bottom and your knobs down the bottom of the plane like they are on the King Air. At least in this one they're here, but still it's easier to use the keys. Right, I think we're getting to the point where we should be turning. I did say 4:30, and that's actually pretty much be lined up with where we should be turning on the chart, so I think that's not too far off. We need to turn into 261 degrees, which is what we set this thing to. I'm going to start the turn now. So it's a left turn to 261. We're at 2,300, then we need to start to descend with the glide slope. Just check on that in a minute as well. What do we have to do there for descent? Down to 2,000 by D5. We haven't got any distance measurements, so I think we're just going to have to kind of play it by ear or hope we get a glide slope. Or try and see the PAPI lights. Yeah, we do have a glide slope. Oh, I'm not used to these kind of glide slope indicator things, so we'll see how this goes. Guess that means the glide slope's above us at the moment, so we don't do anything until it starts to come down and then we follow it. Ooh, I think I can see runway lights, so that's encouraging. Okay, our speed's dropped a fair bit here, but that's okay. We can live with that. Let's give it a little bit more throttle. I'm going to go mixture rich now. We've already got the landing lights on, we don't need you anymore. Do we need to do anything else? Probably not. So we just need to track now. I'll leave the autopilot on until the glide slope starts to come down, and then I'll just go manual. and I think that's the glide slope indicator starting to move. Right, sorry about that. Hazards of live recording. I had to take a phone call. Disconnecting autopilot. We're gonna start to descend now. And yeah, the glide slope indicator is basically telling us we're too high, so we'll try and get that back. Autopilot's disconnected. You can see the field, see the happy lights, so we should be fine. We do need to catch up, so I'll descend a bit more steeply for now, and then we'll get back on glide slope. I mean, we're absolutely miles away yet, but this is so far out for like a little plane to be doing an approach. I say a visual circuit would be much better, but it's interesting to follow the procedure. It's still too high, so let's just get down. See if we can get back on the glide slope and at least follow it. We did do mixture, didn't we? We've got our landing lights on. We don't need to have no gear to go down. We probably want flaps in a bit. In fact, let's go for some flaps now. Oops. Shooting slightly. Let's retrim. A little bit more throttle. Yeah, coming down towards the glide slope now. I guess what's the landing speed for this? About 70, 75? We don't want to go much slower than this. Not sure if we need full flaps or if we just can use the flaps that we've got. Let's go with one notch of flaps. It's still too high. It would be nice to actually get on the glide slope at some point during the descent. I'm far off it now, so I'm just gonna let's bring the power back. I guess we're probably looking at 500 feet per minute or 400 as being a correct sort of rate of descent, so we're not far off that now. We've got 3 whites, 1 red. So if we can get it 2 and 2. There we go. A little bit more throttle now, just to keep us on the slope. Speed's about right, and maybe slightly fast, but not too bad. Let's try and get lined up again. Displays threshold here on 2.7, so make sure we land in the right spot. use of the power now. I don't know, I don't normally land the Cessna. Let's see how it goes. We're a bit long then. Let's just brake. Just get the aircraft off the runway and then stop it there. Differential brakes are quite sensitive. There's a turning just up here, taxiway. Just turn off here. I guess you've got to keep adjusting your directional gyros. Okay, let's just come to a stop here for a second. Clear the runway. I don't think there's anyone else landing right now. So yeah, we made it. We kind of used the holding tool, and I think it helped. Well, it certainly helped me. I mean, I think it's great not to be afraid of a hold and think, well, you know, I can approach from any angle, get into the hole, and then set myself up on any kind of, you know, IMC or whatever instrument approach, and you don't need to worry about approaching the hole from any angle. It's nice to be able to do that, and then there's always, you know, a procedure to follow from there. And the other obvious thing from this flight is I really need to practice VFR and visual flying and navigating using the map, using roads, using rivers. I find them very hard to see. I also find it hard to judge distances at different heights, so I need to practice that, and I think that's what I might do next, is just fly around for a bit, and using this tablet, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I could kind of, you know, easily switch between looking out the window, looking at the map, trying to work out, you know, that road, that river, that hill or whatever, you know, it's that far away on the map and it looks that far away at a certain height. I think that would be quite a good way of doing it, so that's probably what I'll try to do next. So yeah, let's just lean this back a little bit and then I'll continue to taxi it back. I'm going to leave you here for now, so I don't know, hope this has been potentially useful, and we shall see you again soon. Okay, bye for now.